Pastor Ed here with Daily Devotions for Thursday, April the 20th, 2023. Year 2023. I'm only hesitating like that because April 20th happens to be my birthday. 2023 means I was born in 1956. Well, you do the math. I'm getting a little older, as we all are. Continuing our look at Matthew 28, 16 through 20, I want to back up a little bit, actually to verse 17. Again, it begins in verse 16. Now the 11 disciples went to Galilee to the mountain to which Jesus had directed them. Okay, that's what they were told to do after the women encountered the resurrected Jesus. And then verse 17 says, when they saw him, they worshiped him, but some doubted. Now, when you think of the word doubt, at least what first comes to mind for me is like not believing in something. And so there's some famous examples of doubting. The following statements come from official documents, newspapers, and magazines that were widely read in their day. And this is what some authorities had to say about certain things. So, for instance, in 1840, an authority said, anyone traveling at the speed of 30 miles per hour would surely suffocate. So they doubted that high rate of speed would ever be possible or be able to live through. 1878, another authority said electric lights are unworthy of serious attention. Seriously? Where would we be today without electric lights? 1901, no possible combination can be united into a practical machine by which men shall fly. Missed the mark on that one too. 1926, this from a scientist, this foolish idea of shooting at the moon is basically impossible. 43 years later, they landed on the moon. 1930, another scientist, to harness the energy locked up in matter is impossible. Well, the very next decade, the Manhattan Project, the atomic bomb, all that was unleashed. So obviously, they didn't believe in something. The interesting thing, though, is that there are 6 words in the Greek language, in biblical Greek, that translate as doubt. Interesting thing is the one that's used in our lesson this morning. It's distadzo. And it comes from, it's a combination word, a combo word. Dis meaning to or double, and stasis meaning stance or standing. And so therefore, it basically means to be going both ways or 2 ways, shifting between positions, choosing a double stance, if you will, vacillating or wavering, being uncertain at a crossroads, being unable or refusing to choose one way over the other. Distadzo. And so then you think of some of those synonyms like hesitate. Well, the dictionary says that hesitate implies a pause before deciding or acting or choosing. To waver implies hesitation after seeming to decide, and it kind of connotes then a weakness or a retreat. To vacillate implies prolonged hesitation and an inability to reach a firm decision. And then falter, another synonym, implies a wavering or stumbling and often connotes nervousness, a lack of courage, or outright fear. So which is it in this case? Well, it turns out that distadzo only appears twice in the New Testament. It appears in both instances in the Gospel of Matthew, in verse 17 that I just read for you, but also in Matthew 14, verse 31. And let's look at that. That's the story of where Jesus had the disciples get into the boat to go to the other side, and he went up on the mountain to pray. When evening came, the boat was battered by the winds, and early in the morning he came walking toward them on the sea. When the disciples saw him, they were terrified. It's a ghost. But immediately Jesus said, "Take heart, it is I, do not be afraid." And Peter famously asked him, "Lord, if it's you, command me to come to you on the water." And so he said, "Come." And Peter got out of the boat, started walking on the water. So he's walking on the water, and he was going towards Jesus. But when he noticed the strong wind, he became frightened and began to sink. He cried out, "Lord, save me." Jesus immediately reached out his hand, caught him, saying to him, "You of little faith, why did you doubt?" Certainly he hesitated, he wavered, but he faltered. Of all those synonyms, maybe falter is the best one. He was afraid. And maybe that's the best way to understand the word doubt in our reading from Matthew 28. They said some worshiped him, they believed him, but some doubted. They were hesitating, they were vacillating. Maybe they were faltering because they were afraid. They weren't sure what this was all about. I'm reminded of the man who said to Jesus, "I believe, help my unbelief." Doubt, we know this famous story in John's Gospel of Thomas. Doubt is very much a part of life and even a part of our faith. We sometimes are torn two different ways. We're not sure. We hesitate. We waver. We vacillate. And we falter. And nothing has really changed. We still struggle with that ourselves. And Jesus said, "It's I. Do not be afraid. Come with me." Well, we'll continue our discussion tomorrow. Hope you have a great day. We'll talk to you then. Bye.